Hey guys, so we are here, me and Mr. Jeffrey right here, my little brother.
Hello.
And he and I always ask questions to people and each other. We get in long debates, I'm sure as some of you that have watched the Minecraft video we did the other day, about everything. You know, why is the sky blue? Does it scatter? Does it absorb? Does it reflect?
It absorbs.
No.
No, it reflects.
That's what was my
It
argument.
reflects.
No, it does both. So,
It depends
That's-
on how you define absorb.
this is why we're here today. Because I find this entertaining, and so hopefully do you. Jeffrey has some why questions for me. He's going to read them out to me, and we're going to discuss them. I'm a little disclaimer right here. Nothing we say here is a complete fact necessarily.
Yes.
I'm sure some of them will be, but not all of them. So, take that as you will.
Okay, so the first question we got here is why does the air follow your hand through the water? Like for instance, when you swish your hand through the water really fast, you know how you get that trail of bubbles that follows it?
Try
Why
it
does it
sometime
do
with a
that?
stick as well. If you swing a stick through the water, even if it's just from the surface, like stick the stick. That sounded funny. Stick the stick just below the surface of the water, and then bring the tip out and swipe it through the water. You'll see this trail of bubbles following behind the stick. Now the question is why does that air seem to cling to the stick? So now, are you asking me this first, or do you want to answer first?
You go first. And
What
I
if
can-
mine's right and then you're wrong? Okay.
Then they can decide which is right.
Okay, so my theory, and this is just I guess it would be a hypothesis,
Yes.
is that the air is not clinging to the stick necessarily. The water is moving out of the way and not back in behind the stick as fast as it's making the hole, so to speak. So you have this, and maybe if I can figure out how, I'll put a graphic on the screen here. You have the stick traveling through the water, and right behind it you have this, so like right on impact with the water. Okay? When something hits water, it actually makes a hole in the water. Like when you do a cannonball, you make a hole in the water, and if you get a perfect cannonball, it's a perfect cylinder around you. And then you slow down, the water collapses and shoots water clear into the air, hopefully covering the lifeguard with water. So that's kind of the principle we're talking about, except for we're talking about it continuing under the water after the surface has collapsed. And you can get this to happen like in a 360-degree circle if you can go fast enough continuously. So the hole is collapsing behind it slower than the stick is traveling, so you either have a vacuum, which I don't think it is because it would collapse faster than that, or a pocket of air, which I think is what it is mostly because of the fact that when you stop, bubbles float to the surface. So there's something there.
Yeah, I think you're mostly right. But I would add a little bit more as to it creates it as the stick is moving through the water.
Yes.
It creates a pressure wave in front of it, a positive high pressure wave in front of it,
Okay.
and a negative pressure wave behind it. And the air wants to stay in that negative pressure zone because.
But doesn't the water also want to get into that negative
yes,
zone?
but as you're moving the stick through the water, it's pushing that water aside, and it
So you're
has to come
saying
back
it
around
does
to meet
that the
up.
water has more inertia going away from the stick. That it has to beat more inertia than it takes for it to collapse right behind the stick.
Yes,
Okay. So why isn't it a vacuum right behind the stick? Why does the air cling to it?
because the air's there.
That's literally the point. For those of you that don't know, nature hates vacuums.
Yes.
It despises them. When it comes to living on a planet, nature hates vacuums. So when it finds a vacuum in an atmosphere, I guess you could say, it wants to stop it as fast as possible. That's why when you like hold the bottom of a straw and suck on it, like it'll collapse the straw easier than it'll hold that vacuum inside of it. And same thing for like if
For even vacuum chambers.
even vacuum
when
chambers.
They, The reason why they're always so bulky and large and have to be made out of strong materials is because that outside pressure is constantly trying to push in and trying to essentially make an implosion out of that. It wants to suck all that material in to fill the vacuum.
Well, and not only that, but we think of one atmosphere as the stuff that's just pushing on us as not that much. But atmosphere, I'm looking it up right now. Okay, so we just looked it up. It was actually higher than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So, one atmosphere we think of as just, the air around us. Oh, we can move so freely. But same thing that okay, let me tell you how much it is first. So, one atmosphere is 14.69 pounds per square inch against each inch of your skin. Which means that we constantly have pressure on us from every angle.
And
From the air itself, just the weight of the air above us. Now we don't think about that usually.
Yeah. If we were to go to a different planet, say Mars, the gravity is actually less on Mars. If we could survive without an atmospheric suit, we would feel very light because we wouldn't have all that pressure from the atmosphere on our skin.
Well, you're combining two different things, gravity and air pressure.
No, air pressure is less on Mars.
I know, so you're saying just because the atmosphere is less, we would feel lighter?
You would feel less pressed down, I suppose. I don't know.
Well, that would be like saying walking into a vacuum chamber. I don't think we would enjoy it at all.
No,
I think it would feel very uncomfortable. Like, have you ever like sucked on a straw really hard trying to get like one of the slushies to move through your straw, and you feel your tongue like starting to expand? That's because you're actually making a pretty good vacuum inside your mouth. It's impressive how hard you can suck. You suck.
You suck.
We all suck. Okay.
I
need you to do it. So, just the fact that we can make a negative pressure in our mouths is actually quite amazing. Because we go from one extreme to another. Not only that, but when we go deep sea diving, some of these people are diving like 200 feet. It's either 200 feet or 200 meters. I don't remember.
I
The
think
deepest free diver.
200 meters.
I think you're right, because 200
because
feet
most
does not sound like
most of
much.
the world uses meters.
Yeah, so we'll go with 200 meters. Like I said, this may or may not, disclaimer again, this may or may not be true. So that's a pretty impressive pressure change. We can go from 200 meters.
With enough training, we can go from Everest, which how much? What?
What is the
What is the
atmosphere at the top of Mount Everest? Okay, after looking through all my books of encyclopedia, after asking Google, we found that one atmosphere, and that's at sea level with certain barometric pressures and temperatures, is 14.69 pounds per square inch, as we discussed. At the top of Mount Everest, it is 4.89 psi. You drop 10 psi off your skin. I wonder if anybody has ever complained about the fact that... Ooh, I didn't know that. So the Dead Sea is a sea in the Middle East somewhere. I don't remember where. I think it's next to Israel somewhere.
Yeah.
So over there,
it is lower than
and it is lower than sea level, and the pressure there is actually 15.48 psi. Wait, if you dug a hole a mile deep, what would the psi be at the bottom of it? If you can figure that out, let me know down in the comments below.
That's interesting.
Because according to this, if you had a straight shot of the surface, the psi should be quite higher at the bottom of that hole.
Huh. That's interesting.
So, what would that do to Mr. Strange's skin when he got tossed to the top of Mount Everest? Doctor Strange.
It would burn his skin.
No. I'm not talking about just the cold. The pressure.
It would.
Would that hurt his eyeballs and his ears? Can you imagine the worst ear pop ever?
Oh yeah,
going from where was he, in New York?
That's one thing that wasn't quite accurate
Sea level?
about that is that he would have been probably rolling on the ground in pain, not trying to open a portal.
Well, I mean, you can do a lot of things while you're focused on it.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on his fortitude.
We are at the top of the food chain for a reason, so.
Yeah, it depends on his fortitude.
On his fortitude, what is his fortitude score? Like a 12? Give me a like if you get that reference. Okay, so where were we? Okay, let's move on from this. If we have more questions about this or we missed something, let me know down in the comments below that we should continue on that one. What's my next question?
Why?
I don't even think we finished that other question, but let's move on.
We did.
You think so?
Yeah. Why do like triangle shapes in like foam padding? Why do they help to absorb sound?
That's actually a really good question. So, I'm just learning all this stuff for my YouTube channel, And I am slowly, as I'm sure you can tell, getting better at recording my videos. So that being said, will you check the camera, make sure it's still recording after I just said that?
Yep.
Okay. I had to make sure because that would be the perfect time for my camera to just shut off. So, let's move on from that point. I don't remember where we were. What were we talking about?
Why do triangle shapes in like foam?
Okay, so like I said, I was just getting used to YouTube and all the other things, and I learned about these. So hand me that, Jeff. So you can actually use these for soundproofing. You know what this is? I'm sure you all know what this is. This is an egg carton from like a big like economy pack from like restaurants, or if you use a lot of eggs. I think I've bought one skid of this before, so like a double layer of this with like 3 of these, one top, one middle, one bottom, sort of thing. And these things actually block quite a bit of sound. I don't know. I'm just gonna make one note in the microphone, which is right over there, and I'm gonna just place this in front of it, and then I'm just gonna grab like a regular flat surfaced object and do the same thing. You guys can hear the difference, okay? Now I can hear the difference because it just stops. The sound just stops. There's no echo at all, which this room is actually getting better at not echoing. So I'm going to use this book right here, this self-made book. As you can see, I went to that. It was really fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and
you
I'm
can see it here.
as
too.
you can see right there. Yeah. Anyways, shameless non-self-promotion. I don't know. This book is a treasure trove, by the way, and you're not getting any of it.
Am I getting any of it?
No.
Oh.
I'll put this book in like my chest drawer right here and put a lock on it and like chain the whole desk. We are getting distracted again. Okay, I'm going to put this in front of the microphone, and I will put these 2 clips right next to each other so you don't have to listen to me ramble in the middle. Now, just from that, did you hear a difference?
Yes.
What was the difference?
The sound becomes a lot more stable when you're using the egg
The egg
carton.
carton. Why? What do you mean by stable?
More solid. It doesn't double up on itself at all.
It doesn't echo? That's called an echo, buddy.
Yes. I was trying to avoid that word.
Okay, so we have the 2 different sounds. We played them next to each other, and the difference is the reason that it does that, and these don't do it perfectly. These are good, but they're not perfect. If they were perfect, these would be perfect spikes out to a molecular level of 0. Okay, you can't go down to an atom because then there's no molecules holding it together anymore. But for perfect soundproofing, this would go down to a perfect point right here, and it would be in triangles, equilateral, no, not equilateral, pyramid triangles, okay, like this. 4 sides down into points in between a whole bunch of them. And you can actually go look up a video of the quietest room on Earth, and they use these.
It is
And
very fascinating.
It's quite interesting to see how people react to that. Go look up one of those videos. That's a completely
It's
different experiment.
interesting to.
Can you imagine hearing your organs gurgle? Like, not even just your stomach, but like your heart beat. And you ever heard the blood rush in your ears? You can actually hear it.
Oh,
We
I've
have
heard it before.
auditory cancellation. That's another cool thing we'll talk about later. What you were saying to say something?
Oh, with those videos, it's cool to see, because when the doors open, that auditory
Silence?
silence, I suppose, it's
Auditory
it's not-
cancellation.
it's auditory cancellation.
There you
It's
go.
not 100%, and it's cool when the moment that door closes.
Yeah, it's
how it
literally
just
like the
instantly-
microphone can't pick up anything. So you start hearing like weird hisses just from the electronics
Yeah.
in like the cameras and stuff like that. You start hearing all sorts of weird things. And like you can hear your blood rushing, you can hear, I mean, I would go insane in there. I would just sit there. Like I can't even go on a car ride without talking to myself. Okay, back to the point. The sound waves travel into these holes, as you will, into the sound, okay? And sound is a wave.
45-degree angle.
Yeah, sound is a wave. I don't think it's 45. Those things were like cones like this, dude.
Mm.
I think the closer you can get it. Anyways, that's what I was just gonna say. Is that the sound waves are waves, right? They bounce off things. That's why you can yell at your hand and somebody can hear you better over there. So you can throw your voice somewhere else.
Hello.
Yep. So what those do is the sound travels at them. Okay, so let's make this one side of a triangle right here. Jeffrey, put your hand right here. Okay. This is one side of a triangle. Here, let's do this. Okay, triangle. Here, let's tilt it down a little bit. Triangle, triangle. Sound wave coming at it. Ooh, ooh. It goes boing, 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 boing. And if it can keep going, it literally just dies away to nothing.
Especially, there's a reason why they use foam, is because the foam, it's made of many, many tiny holes. And the walls between those holes are thin enough that it can reach through, but it cancels out.
It keeps dissipating
into
the foam.
It keeps some of the wave each time it goes through those walls.
So it actually probably ends up like bouncing, bouncing, bouncing. And by the time it gets to the very back, there's almost nothing left. But whatever is left gets absorbed into the foam. So that's why. And I think that is all the time we have today.
Yes.
Do you have any other questions?
No, not lined up right
Okay.
now.
If you like this sort of thing, you're more than welcome to just leave a like on the video. If you have questions for the next person that's on here, it may be him, it may be somebody else, but I'll probably still be here. Go ahead and leave it down in the comments below.
You better still be here.
I
It's your
probably
channel.
will be. Oh, maybe somebody take it over. I don't know. If you like the video, like, subscribe, comment down below with any why questions, and don't forget.
Never stop asking why.
Thanks, guys.